Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Lydia Bassi. President Muhammadu Buhari has made a case for massive investment by the international community for the people of Nigeria's northeast and the Lake Chad Basin, saying such collective humanitarian intervention can no longer be delayed or downplayed. It was at a high-level event on the Lake Chad in New York. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
In need of humanitarian assistance in the Lake Chad Basin, this event organized by the Nigerian government is aimed at highlighting the urgent need to mobilize international response to the worrisome situation. Addressing participants, including the presidents of Niger and Chad, President Muhammadu Buhari said the dual impact of climate change has been witnessed in the Lake Chad Basin, and terrorism in the northeast has created what he called deeper implications for peace and security, social harmony, and sustainable development goals. The federal government, however, said is fully responsive to the urgency to promptly save innocent lives, ensure protection of victims, guarantee stability, and facilitate the resumption of normal socio-economic life.
The government is not overwhelmed by the enormity of this humanitarian challenge. Rather, we remain resolute in defeating terrorism in all its forms. We have put in place a robust people-driven counter-terrorism strategy built on a combination of revamped security operations and a human rights-based approach to help bring about rehabilitation, reintegration, and reconstruction. These measures are timely as we are witnessing the return of displaced citizens to their communities in Konduga, Mafa, Ben Sheikh, and recently in Gala in our northeast zone.
On the shrinking of Lake Chad, President Buhari said the situation has adversely affected the communities around the basin, thereby exacerbating their hardship, saying, however, that spirited efforts are being made by all basin member countries to confront this common problem through the Lake Chad Development Resilience Action Plan. The future of the people there, he said, rests on durable security and sustainability of resources around the lake, and the challenge can only be overcome through genuine collaboration and consolidation of strong partnerships through the Lake Chad Basin Commission and the African Union.
Let me repeat and emphasize finally that our holistic approach is founded on promoting good governance, transparency, and accountability. We are renewing the call for rededicated international action to end the humanitarian needs of victims and address the root causes of terrorism itself. It is time for collective global action to invest in the people of Nigeria's northeast and the Lake Chad Basin region.
The recovery efforts in the Lake Chad Basin, as well as humanitarian response to the plight of victims, the participants agree must be collective, holistic, multi-sectoral, meaningful, and timely. From New York, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now back home, as residents of Koi, Kaduna count their losses over the earth tremor in their community, experts are advocating the provision of seismograph regiment at various tremor-prone areas in the country. The Executive Director, National Water Resources Institute, Dr. Emmanuel Adanu, during an assessment tour of the affected areas in Jaba, local government, Kaduna, said the equipment will help in measuring the force and other details for further action. Suleiman Abdullahi Riga Chikun reports.
The involuntary quivering of the earth, popularly known as the earth tremor, occurred first at this village called Kagwa in Jaba local government area on the 11th of September 2016. It was followed by similar occurrence recently at nearby Tangwat and Nok areas of southern Kaduna. The tremor affected buildings in the visibly rocky areas and forced some households out of their homes to scamper for safety.
It vibrated about five times, and most especially in the night.
The executive director, who led a team of experts, comments.
And in our investigation and going around, we've just realized that most of the destructions in the village, the houses broken down and all this, are concentrated along this road. zone inside the earth, between the core of the earth and the mantle. A hotspot develops. And this hotspot now transmits this energy, heat and everything through the mantle to the base of the crust, which is what we are standing on now, the crust. Now, when that energy keeps mounting up and it starts chopping, because it's a molten material, very hot, it chops part of the crust. So the crust at that point becomes thinner. So if the energy is too much, it can cause various activities and the crust can just break.
While at the palace of Pop Ham Elladi Gate Maude, the chief asked the team and other geologists who visited the area, requesting the publication of their findings for further action on the incident. Despite the tremor that rocked Koi in Java local government area, life still goes on while some are still in fear of recurrence. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Gachikun, NTA News.
In continuation of the clearance operations against suspected livestock rustlers, armed bandits and other criminal elements in its area of operations, units of 1 Division Nigerian Army have cleared livestock rustlers and armed bandits in Kaduna State and arrested an electric cable vandal in Katsina State. Acting Director, Army Public Relations Colonel Sani Kukasheka Usman said, based on information received from the vigilante group in Anchau, Kubau local government area of Kaduna State on the activities of some notorious armed bandits and kidnappers around Yardoka village, troops of 11th Field Engineer Regiment carried out raid operations in the area. During the operation, they killed 3 armed bandits and kidnappers, while others escaped with gunshot wounds. The troops recovered 15 Dane guns, 6 locally fabricated pistols, 1 torchlight pistol, 3 empty cartridge cases, and 52 shells of ammunition. Similarly, following a tip-off from some well-meaning and patriotic citizens on the activities of a suspected electric cable vandal named Nazir Kazim of Dankama village of Kaita local government in Katsina State, troops stormed the area and arrested the suspect on the act, while 2 of his accomplices escaped. The federal government says it will collaborate with the West African countries on ways of tackling the challenges associated with movement of animals across the region. In a message to a workshop on pastoralism in Bauchi, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Khadija Abba Ibrahim, says the movement of cattle has created socio-economic challenges in the country. Adamu Haruna reports.
The one-day sensitization program aims at creating awareness among stakeholders about the dangers of transhumans, not only on peace, security and development, but also on long-existing human relationships in West African sub-region in general and in Nigeria in particular. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Hajia Khadija Bukar, represented by Director ECOWAS Division and Head of ECOWAS National Unit, Ambassador Manager Isa, says in recent times, the movement of cattle rearers across the sub-region has increased incidences of violent conflicts between nomadic pastoralists and farmers. She adds that the development has dire consequences on security, development and democratic consolidation in the sub-region.
We need at any time to come together and settle our differences. For the community to move forward, for stability, for peace, and indeed for development.
Bauchi State Governor, represented by the State Head of Civil Service, Liman Bello, also laments the implications conflicts occasioned by seasonal movements of herdsmen on socio-economic development and security of Nigeria and recommends some solution to the challenge.
This is poses a serious security threat to the country and it needs to be tackled as a matter of urgency.
In their separate goodwill messages, representatives of the Minister of Agriculture, Emir of Bauchi and other relevant stakeholders stressed the need to bring to an end communal clashes between farmers and cattle rearers. In Bauchi, Adamu Haruna Adams, NTA News.
The executive of the Police Officers' Wives Association, POA, has solicited the support of the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, towards enhancing the programs of the association. Mohammed Kolo reports that the executives made the request when they visited to felicitate with him on his appointment.
Even as we are here to congratulate you, sir, we are also here to commend you. Though in less than 3 months of your assumption of office, you have made significant achievements in piloting the affairs of the force.
The POA president, Asma'u Ibrahim Idris, identified the areas they need support to include healthcare, education, skills acquisition, especially for widows of fallen officers and men, and the reactivation of barracks inspection to promote discipline and hygiene.
I want to obviously respond to some of the issues my wife stated, which obviously are very laudable. Thank you very much. Those are very laudable projects, especially the issue of schools. Schools are very important in the development of our children, and I promise whatever assistance we can provide to you, we are going to do that.
Awards for loyalty, commitment and dedication were presented to officers and their wives. In the past, at events like this, issues were tabled, but of course, the more we talk about our issues and problems, the closer we're likely going to get to addressing them, which underscores the importance of today's visit on the IGP by the management of POA, Police Officers' Wives Association. From the force headquarters here in Abuja, Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
The contributions of successful homes to the growth of the society, analysts say, is a strength of the nation. It is in light of this that the book Companion on Contracting Valid Statutory Marriages in Nigeria was launched in Abuja. Basi Taikpan reports.
Marriage, a sacred institution ordained by God, analysts say, is diverting from original plan, leading to several cases of divorce, as couples no longer see it as a lifetime concept. The author of the book says the development informed his decision.
When I look at the situation with which people fall into different marriage vices, and I now discover that people are not well informed, and when you are not informed, you'll be deformed.
The Minister of Interior was represented by the head of human resources in the ministry.
Studies have shown that there is a direct relationship between marriage and the family unit within a country. Most socio-economic problems facing nations across the globe derive directly from the family units.
Other speakers, while commending the author for the content of the book, noted that when the issue of marriage is judiciously harnessed in human race, the society will be peaceful. It is believed that most cases of divorce in the society is caused by lack of information and appropriate principles guiding successful marriages. This book, Companion on Contracting Valid Marriages in Nigeria, therefore, is a guide to couples and intending couples for the success of their marriages and complete protection in line with Marriage Act of 1990, Cap 218 of the laws of the Federation as amended. In Abuja, Basi Taikpan, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari warmly felicitates with ace photographer, media entrepreneur and author Somi Smart Ole as he turned 75 on Sunday, September 25th. President Buhari, in a statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, commended the versatile and multi-talented artist for the beauty, glamour and depth he brought into the chronicling of Nigerian history through hard work and perseverance, starting out early as a photojournalist. As one of the pacesetters of professional photography in the country, the president believes Smart Ole's place in Nigeria's history is assured, as early in his career he was a storyteller, but later as he progressed, he became part of the story with his signature creative and innovative style. The president prays that the Almighty God will grant the media entrepreneur longer life, good health, and more inspiration to serve his country. This is the news on NTA International from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. Do stay tuned for more reports after the break.
church service at the National Worship Center, Abuja. Time 4 p.m. Attendance is open. Friday, 30th September, public lecture 11 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. Venue, National Mosque, Abuja. Attendance is open. Jumat prayers 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Venue, National Mosque, Abuja. Attendance is open. Saturday, 1st October, Presidential Change of Guard. Venue, forecourt of the Presidential Villa, State House, Abuja. Attendance is strictly by invitation. Bolaji Adebi, Director Press, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Announcer.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Thanks for being there. The Nigerian equities market closed the week on a positive note. Let's join Ediago for details on business news.
The Nigerian Stock Exchange All Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 1.39% to close the week at 28,247.07 and 9.703 trillion naira. Similarly, all other indices finished higher during the week, with the exception of the main board index, banking index, and consumer goods index that depreciated by 0.14%, 0.73%, and 0.53%. A turnover of 4.331 billion shares worth 16.803 billion naira in 16,797 deals were traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange, in contrast to a total of 611.527 million shares valued at 5.495 billion naira that exchanged hands last week in 9,650 deals. 33 equities appreciated in price during the week, lower than 34 equities in the previous week. 25 equities depreciated in prices, lower than 26 equities in the previous week, while 122 equities remained unchanged, higher than 120 recorded in the preceding week. Ede Ago, NTA News.
The 71st UN General Assembly has ended in New York, and President Muhammadu Buhari, who led the Nigerian delegation to the international summit, was engaged in a series of activities, including a powerful presentation at the opening session. Let's join Justin Bem-Unyi as he takes us through this and other reports that made the week in review.
Hello and welcome. It's glad to have you join us on this segment of the bulletin, The Week in Review. I am Justin Bem-Unyi. We begin from the 71st session of the UN General Assembly, where President Muhammadu Buhari, while addressing the international community, appealed for a robust legal framework for strengthening existing critical institutions, of enforcing anti-corruption measures, and dealing with corrupt practices. The president said corruption not only freezes development but undermines the objectives of sustainable development goals.
I am pleased that our efforts in fighting corruption are yielding positive results, including significant stolen asset recoveries.
Meanwhile, President Barack Obama of the United States pledged to urgently put in place a sustainable framework for cooperation and partnership towards addressing Nigeria's fundamental challenges of security, economy and corruption. This was at the bilateral meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari on the sideline of the United States General Assembly in New York within the week under review.
Because of President Buhari's leadership, he has been able to refocus the Nigerian military. We are coordinating carefully, and we discussed here today additional ways that we can make further progress, not only in destroying this branch of ISIL, but also to make sure that the people in this region are able to recover from the devastation of Boko Haram's occupation.
Still on the UN General Assembly, President Muhammadu Buhari, while addressing the first ever summit on refugees and migrants in New York, warned that unless there is a collective resolve by world leaders to develop more effective strategies in addressing large movements of refugees and migrants, as well as humanitarian needs of IDPs in Nigeria, the global aspirations towards achieving the 2030 sustainable goals may be impeded. The president said humanity is better promoted and protected if leaders work for the common good of all. In the same outgoing week, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo identified the private sector as very critical to how the nation responds to the recession, and as the Presidential Quarterly Business Forum commences, promised a steady engagement with stakeholders towards uplifting the nation's economy.
But alongside that, we are also engaging 65,000 young people who will be trained in various aspects of technology.
Also, in the course of the week, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said partnership with the international community is a great benefit to the present administration, mostly in the delivery of purposeful change to the people of Nigeria. He was speaking at the launch of a compendium of the achievements of the Nigerian Infrastructure Advisory Facility, which is winding down the first phase of its program in Nigeria. Turning now to happenings from the National Assembly during the week, Senate President Bukola Saraki said the executive arm of government should immediately put in place leadership-level engagement platform with private sector in a bid to revamp the economy recession. He stated this during a welcome back speech to senators after an 8-week recess.
As representatives of our people, we must follow up through regular oversight and pressure on the executive to ensure that they deliver on our recommendations.
Also, the House of Representatives reconvened after 8 weeks recess and adjourned plenary 30 minutes after. The adjournment was in honor of one of its members. The House of Representatives in the week also mandated its Committee on Ethics and Privileges to investigate the 2016 budget padding allegation against some principal officers of the House. Speaker Yakubu Dogara at Wednesday's plenary also expressed the resolve of the House to continue to support the executive in finding lasting solution to the present economic recession in Nigeria. And just before we round up the review for the week, we remind you of a report you heard that President Muhammadu Buhari made a case for massive investment by the international community for the people of Nigeria's northeast and the Lake Chad basin, saying such collective humanitarian intervention can no longer be delayed or downplayed. It was at a high-level event on the Lake Chad in New York.
It is time for collective global action to invest in the people of Nigeria's northeast and the Lake Chad Basin region.
And that wraps it up. Many thanks for watching, and do stay tuned for the rest of the news.
Thanks, Justin. President Muhammadu Buhari says he had a very successful outing at the just concluded 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly. Addressing the media to round off his visit to New York, the president reviewed all his major and side events during the visit and highlighted the issues on which he sent a clear and direct message to world leaders. The president highlighted the need for the international community to work together to liberate humanity from poverty, save the planet from the devastation of climate change, and rid the world of terrorism for a more peaceful and prosperous future.